December 16th, 2025. This evening, we have Joel Greavy from the Resting Place, who gave up his valuable time to come and open us up in prayer. Thank you for being our guest this evening, Mr. Greavy.
Yeah, that's right. Lord, I just thank you for these council. That they're here just to give their time to our city. Lord, I ask you just to bless them, bless their strategies and insight for our city, and just give them wisdom. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you for your service and being our guest. This meeting is now called to order. Let the record show that all the members of council are present except for Mr. Uresti. Would you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
We need excuse for Mr. Uresti.
Do we have such a motion to excuse him?
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of excusing Mr. Uresti from the meeting this evening, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? He is excused from the meeting for this evening. Do we have any liaison meeting requests or reports? And do we have any comments from council this evening? No? I'm sure all the members of council got the report of payment of bills and the financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the payment of bills and the financial reports shall stand approved. Do we have any such motion? It was an exciting week, thank you. Mayor McKeon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Emailed council to make them aware that I had a couple appointments that I need to make. The first one would be to our planning commission. Steve Hoffman, who has served on that planning commission for some time, is willing to continue to serve. So I would ask that council bless that approval.
In regard to the reappointment of Steve Hoffman to the Planning Commission, shall the consent of council to this appointment be approved by the mayor? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Hoffman.
I have two appointments to the Tuttle Board with the passing of Mark Motes. I would first ask council's approval of the appointment of Angie Mojica.
In regards to the appointment of Angie Mojica to the Tuttle Board, shall the consent of council be given for this appointment of the mayor? All those in favor of the appointment of Angie Mojica to the Tuttle Board say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Ms. Mojica.
And finally, Steve Furness is stepping away from the Tuttle Board, and Chris Oberlin has agreed to serve, so she would be my choice for the second seat on the Tuttle Board.
In regards to the appointment of Chris Oberlin to the Tuttle Board, shall the consent of council be given for this appointment proposed by the mayor? All those in favor of the appointment of Chris Oberlin say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Well done, Ms. Oberlin. Congratulations.
That's all I have, sir.
All right. Mr. Mack.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just have a request of council to go into executive session for 121.22G1, the appointment of public officials.
We have a request for an executive session this evening. Do we have such a motion?
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Mast.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Crutch. Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Mast?
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
All right. Before we adjourn, I'm sure there will only be one executive session. Anything else, Mr. Mack?
That's all at this time, Mr. President.
Mr. O'Donnell?
Actually, Mr. President, I too would request an executive session for a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body subject to imminent court action, 121.22G3.
Do we have such a motion? So moved, Mr. Engel. Second, Mr. Waxler. For a second executive session, Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch.
Yes.
Mr. Mast.
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Corbett,
Yes.
and Mr. Engel.
Yes.
All right. Anything else on your list, Mr. O'Donnell?
No.
And Ms. Sprague?
I do not have anything.
Okay. We do have several items of legislation for discussion this evening. First one being a first reading, an ordinance approving a final development plan for property located at the Bissell Addition Extension to the city of Defiance. Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes, Mr. President, this is the same major subdivision that's planned off of Wildwood Drive behind the shopping center that we discussed last week. In section 1165.05D outlines the steps for these major subdivision approvals. And the final step, it's a long process, but the final step, after the review of the final plat by the Planning Commission, is for council to make that final decision on that proposed final plat. Now, the Planning Commission reviewed this plat at the May 19th, 2025 meeting. I believe we were waiting on some later additions from the applicant, and they did make those additions, and so Planning Commission issued a favorable recommendation. And so this ordinance is for the final approval of this Baden's Wildwood Addition.
Do we have any questions for Mr. O'Donnell? Mr. Waxley?
No further question, Mr. President, so.
Oh, you have a question, Mr. Hancock?
Yeah, the question I just wanted to ask is, are sidewalks part of the development as well?
I believe they
I thought
are,
all new stuff had sidewalks.
they do have to,
Yeah, I don't recall there being any variance at the Planning Commission meeting for sidewalks, which would be required on both sides of the street, because we would have definitely talked about that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other questions? All right, we have a motion to suspend and call. Second, Mr. Corbett? Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Mast?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
And Mr. Hancock?
Yes. Motion adopted.
We have a motion to adopt Mr. Hancock. And do we have a second, Mr. Engel? Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
Mr. Mast?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
And Mr. Waxman?
Yes.
With that, this ordinance is adopted. Next up is an ordinance adopting new fees for various city services and declaring an emergency. Mr. O'Donnell?
Thank you, Mr. President. The city, we've been working on updating our fees for a very long time. Predates the time that I've been here. And the issues were that one of the major hurdles is that all the fees were interspersed throughout our codified ordinances. So we didn't want to just piecemeal take them one at a time. We wanted some comprehensive legislation for you to make these changes. Some of the fees that we found were more than a quarter century old. And as a matter of fact, yesterday was December 15th, the 16th anniversary of the passage of the $25 fee for the license to occupy the right-of-way. So happy anniversary for that. That was December 15th, 2009. But we would submit that there has been some inflation over the last 16 years. A dollar in late 2009 has the same purchasing power as approximately $1.58 today. And so we're feeling that as the city when we do our activities. And so we met with all the division heads earlier this year, one individually, and solicited their recommendations on how much it actually costs their divisions to provide these specialized services. In other words, services that benefit one resident or one constituent, not necessarily all of the residents as a whole. And they gave their recommendations, and also provided how much of an increase, most of these are increases, not all of them, most of them are increases, are warranted due to those increasing costs. And the goal here is to capture the actual cost of the city and minimize the amount that the general fund has to kick in to provide those kind of specialized services, like private occupation of the right-of-way. Because if we give a restaurant the right to occupy a right-of-way, nobody else gets to occupy it other than that restaurant. So the chart in Exhibit A of your ordinance reflects those, both the division heads and the Board of Control's recommendations in the fees. For those fees, they're set out in each of those tables. Many of the fees you'll find are unchanged, but some services do require a significant amount of manpower, and those have recommended increases. And again, the goal is to assess as close as we can the actual cost of providing those specialized services to the applicant or to the beneficiary. The Supreme Court of Ohio, in a case involving Beaver Creek, has ruled that we cannot charge more than the actual cost to the city for those services. Otherwise, it's a tax. You have to go to the voters to get them to improve the tax. But as long as we can tie that to the actual cost, we are within our right to do that. And I do plan on presenting legislation early next year, repealing where these fees are codified in ordinances or in parts of ordinances. So you could probably look for that early next year.
Do we have a question? Mr. Hancock?
Yes, how do these compare to other municipalities? Were you able to do that?
So we've had contractors laugh at how low our fees are, just because we just have not kept up.
Part of our conversation with the division heads,
Yeah.
they check with their peers in other communities.
Okay. Also, can I continue?
Yeah.
Can I continue? Okay. I noticed that there was a couple of streets and sidewalk permit went from $5 to $50 on the first page. That seemed like a substantial increase. I mean,
Yep.
I know most of it's understandable.
Yep, I mean, like the mayor said, that was part of the division head's homework in preparing and bringing this to us, is to see what else was out there. And that's how woefully behind we were in some of the areas. You know, the goal is then to have this in the budget book, and every year the division heads will take a look at their fees and we'll reassess, and if there needs to be any changes, we can get it all done in one swoop versus it, like Sean said, it was scattered all over. I didn't know where to look for anything. This puts it in one spot and really brings it to everybody's attention. And we can look at it every year now and make changes as we feel need be.
On the second page.
The goal with looking at them every year would be so you don't see some of those jumps that you're seeing now. It's kind of like your water bill. We can never raise water rates and then 10 years from now have some huge jump that makes everybody really upset, or we can incrementally do it as we need it and is necessary for the operations of what we're doing. So hopefully, now that they're all being updated, you would see more incremental changes.
Another one would be the meter test. We're going from 20 to 100. That's another example I noticed. On the third page, in the cemetery fees, the disinterment went from 1,000 to 10,000. I didn't know how that was quite an increase for disinterment. It says plus charges by bulk company, if any.
We found to be disinterment to be.
Is it actually 10,000 or is it a typo?
Circle underneath.
We're gonna have to check on that.
Yeah, I don't
On
know.
Disinterments are,
The other disinterments for infants and ashes haven't changed.
They're 500 and 300
Yeah.
respectively.
ashes and lifting an entire burial vault out of a grave.
Understood.
But I'm gonna guess that's a typo.
So
We have had a six-figure settlement from a disinterment that went wrong. So I mean, it could be
I could see it either
calculated
way,
to
but
protect ourselves.
Yeah.
I will double check. It's no
Thank
problem.
you,
Yep.
thank you.
Going
And,
forward,
and Deb,
I was wondering if that had to do with that incident, or whether it had to do with now there's insurance required for disinterment, or something like that. That was actually one of the questions I had in mind. So good job, Mr. Hancock.
you're welcome. The other thing I also noticed is it appears that the building inspection area seems to have the most increases, of the group. And, they appear to be small, but they're increases. Not all, but there are some. And I think that was all. Oh, second to last page for the service and readiness to serve charges. And I see that we have a proposed charge. Do you know what the current charges are? Are they the same as what we are proposing? Second to last, I'm sorry, I didn't count the pages or number them.
It's for the township readiness to serve
Oh,
charges.
township?
Yes, yes. The green column doesn't have anything, I'm just curious to see if it is the current and we're proposing the same.
I'd have to, that one doesn't stick out to me. Doesn't stick out to me. Township.
Actually, right now, we're working with two of the townships.
Oh, this is, I'm sorry, this is fire.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking water readiness to serve. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Mary. Yes, we're working with the townships to work through their readiness to serve.
Are they currently at the rates that we are proposing?
Yes.
One of them is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the new proposals at the bottom of that same page,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that we're considering out-of-town residents contractor limb brush disposal at composite site, which I think is a nice program. It says ticket needs to be purchased at City Hall to dump and present to employees at site. Are we looking at, let's say I'm a lawn care and I have a trailer load of grass clippings. Does it cost me a ticket every time I dump? Or will I have to or is there a group of tickets? Let's say 10 tickets for the price of $15.
I don't think that's what that's for, correct? Not for grass clippings. That's like,
This is for limbs and brush, not grass.
Okay. And the ticket is only for one load.
One load. You can buy 10 tickets, that would be $150.
Sure.
Right.
I just didn't know if it was like.
It's not a pass.
It's not like a summer pool pass.
Gotcha. All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Waxway.
Yeah, I also had a question on cemetery, then on, the sanitary, I don't know what that is, it's service, whatever it is, but it went from $30 to $500.
What page do you want?
What is it? I didn't know.
Commercial industrial.
Saw that too, I think it was a sewer permit, wasn't it?
I don't know what it is, that's why I'm asking. It says sanitary,
Right at the top of the page, Mr. Waxman.
what? No, it's right in the middle down there.
Right above fire department.
Yeah, it's right above fire department.
About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'm not sure what the iron, I can check with Mark.
sanitary sewer I&D.
Cause that one in the cemetery was stuck out to me, that letter.
I&D, I would guess is industrial, but
Oh,
Yeah, that's for an industrial permit. Would be my-
So we was only charging $30 before?
That's what
that
we
was one of
said.
those that laughed at us.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, some of these permits, you're looking at them as large numbers now, but we've sat here with developers who, when we told them what the permit fees were to run, I mean, just some small minor development in the city, they look at us like we're crazy because they do it 2 states over and it's thousands and thousands of dollars for all these permits that they can get for $150 in Defiance. Yeah, I apologize. I couldn't find the page, but that's industrial permit.
Mr. Engel?
I got a question on the nuisance fees. Is there a reason why we didn't go up as far as knowing the first quarter finance? From 85 is 25 and 35 and 26. I thought maybe that would go up to maybe $100 or something. Go up a little bit.
Well, again, we basically set these fees at what our costs are. Because anything more than that, as the law director explained, then it becomes a tax. This is a fee to offset my costs. So we estimated, Mrs. Sprague took what the wages are, what the additional cost wage, loaded wages for workers' comp, unemployment, and all that.
Depreciation of equipment,
Right.
fuel, all the things that go
Yeah.
into that.
If we want to make it punitive, then we have to make it a fine, and that requires going to court and getting a judgment.
Because at some point, someone's gonna ask a question, how did you come up with this number? And you're gonna wanna be able to say, see, it's commensurate with what it costs us.
And also on the ambulance service, it was showing no current charges, which I'm sure there was.
Which service?
The ambulance rescue truck. But it's showing that there was never a charge on that stuff before, and I know there was a fee for the squad, but
I think it depended on the township, and that's probably why we left it.
It also depends on the type of run and things like that they're making. They build the insurance company for it. It's not
right, but there was still
necessarily
costs in there before, correct? There's no current charges in there.
That was the question.
I don't think there was a lot of billing being done. Quite.
Cause I know they charge for, if you had to
Yep.
run, it was $400 or $500 for the run.
There were, yeah. But
And
this
also-
gives us a consistent breakdown on what the run is with a charge. Where before, I was under the impression it was not as clean and concise how it's broken up and down on here.
So those transport costs that you're seeing on that page were actually the fire chief got from like the national service of what people are charging from this. We also get it from our medical billing company who says this is the average nationally what people are charging for these types of runs, and that's why we put it
So they charge $30 a mile plus the 1,300?
1,300 plus $30 a mile on which one? So advanced
Well,
life support level 1,
yeah.
so extreme like trauma cases.
Yeah, I know it, yeah.
Yeah, I know you.
Yeah. I was
That's-
just,
That doesn't mean that's necessarily what we get from an insurance company, but that is the rate at which it is set kind of nationally.
Do we have any other questions in these regards? Mrs. Crutch?
Under inspection, it just has a question mark. Is that inspection of the rental properties or inspection of all homes? Because it has building inspection fees, and it has it listed underneath it, but it just has a question mark.
If it has a question mark, that's one that we are not charging. We talked about charging, but we did not put anything in. So I personally want to just leave that in there, so next year we'll take another look at it. There were a handful of question marks. If they had fees prior and then we had a question mark, I just left the prior fee and carried it over, but there were a couple that we had not charged for, and I just left those question marks because either the division head didn't feel comfortable charging, or we just weren't really ready on what to do there yet.
Some of them had charges codified in the ordinance, but as a practice, we just did not charge.
well, I'm just funny call for a bit.
So if we have no other questions, we have a motion to suspend and call. Mr. Waxler?
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast. Mr. Mast?
Yes.
Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
And Mrs. Crutch?
Yes. Motion to adopt?
We have a motion to adopt. Mrs. Crutch. Second. Mr. Mast? Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Mr. Engel?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Waxler?
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch?
Yes.
And Mr. Mast?
Yes.
All right. With that, this ordinance is also adopted. Third up, an ordinance amending ordinance number 8620 passed December 3rd, 2024 to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Defiance, Ohio during the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Ms. Sprague.
Yes, I had sent out the supplementals, for your review. I just wanna go through them, and answer any questions that you have. Basically, when I look at this in the 900,000 that we're having to reappropriate. If you break it down into three sections, it looks like healthcare, fire, and then all other funds in general funds. But the general fund appropriation total is $83,450. To back up into the general fund, municipal court, they had some staff changes over there that resulted in healthcare changes. So you had people that didn't take our health insurance and people that we hired did, or they went from single to family. And it doesn't take much to get up to $19,500 in premium. Going down to law, Sean's line, he had brought to you earlier the Hicksville contracts, and he adjusted the salaries of a couple of his staff. Same thing, he had a couple staff that changed their health insurance plans, and that's what that contributor was. Civil service, $15,000, which is out of the norm for them, but that's the testing for police. That testing is expensive, and there's nothing, we can do to get around that. The other ones, overtime cemetery, just calling people in on the evenings and weekends for different things they need done. Going down to police and fire. Actually, you can leave police out of it this time, it's just fire. The overtime, I know when Whitcott came in and talked to you during the budget process, and we've talked about staffing, the overtime has continued to grow, and in the next year, we're hoping with hiring, getting people educated so they're in there, they can work, and they're not out at school, and we're not calling people in to cover for those people, should help minimize that line. When your overtime line goes up, that also then drives your pension line. So you kind of get double whammied when it comes to that line. Also contributor is healthcare, same thing. Staff that left had a different plan than people we hired, or there was a change of plan change. Questions on fire, because I know that's a big line. Do you have anything to add to that, Ryan, that Whitcop?
No, you summarized it very well. The chief had said, he and I talked actually this evening about it. We had several people leave. We brought on people that weren't trained and have to train them up on our own. When we have to train them up on our own, they don't really count towards staffing. That creates overtime situations, which is why you saw earlier this year us implement that bonus for people that we can hire on that are trained. We were successful in getting someone onboarded that was fully trained and ready to go, and they hit the ground running and helped. So between that, sending 4 people through paramedic school, which again cuts, that one person out of those slots, that creates overtime. Those are the big, I think, points on it.
But a lot of them feel like the 3 we just agreed to hire. I don't know how those people
can cause overtime. Cause they're on a shift, but they don't even count yet, so
The
why we're
three-
sending
the-
them to school create overtime,
The three that we're about to hire shouldn't cause overtime.
right? Like
It's
they
the
always
ones that
keep
we
you
hired,
causing us
it's the
overtime.
one it's the ones that we had to hire last year to replace people who were leaving. That is a spot that was filled by a full-time paramedic that is now being filled by someone with no training. And so
That's something-
that's what generates some of the overtime.
That's something we've all been watching very closely for years, and it just never drops, and it, I mean, they're getting the staffing now where it's gotta start dropping, or something's gotta happen, because it's getting out of hand, I mean, it's just.
We're working on a couple different strategies. None of us like having to pay that much in overtime. Not just because obviously it's the taxpayers' money and we want to be as frugal as possible with it, but because it burns people out. I mean, people sitting in a fire department for 48 straight hours because they have to pick up an overtime shift because 2 people are away at paramedic school that shift, it burns our guys out. So there's it's multifaceted on why we want to fix it.
Like, you know, like Tim said, I was one of my questions though is, a lot of this overtime, now you was telling me things weren't being billed right. Is there funding
Well,
out there
that's-
that we're not,
So we have separate lines, the township rescue line, we had to do a supplemental there. It seems in years past, that line has always been $12,000. And when we have a township run, and this is the way it's always been done, we get a check for that run from whatever agency that is. They send us, say, $500. Okay, Jen takes a look at that and sees what that was for. If there's anything extra in that run that we could collect on, she runs an invoice for that $500 and anything extra, and then bills back the township. It seems backwards, but her and I have talked to the townships, that's the way they were told that it should be done. So in the last year, that township rescue expense line has went up significantly, but the amount of revenue we brought in, is right around $65,000. So it doesn't look like it just because you see the expense. That's nothing to do with just this overtime line. That's on the operational side, but we've collected all that back. So at the beginning of the year, I didn't have any idea of what kind of revenue we would have brought in there. Otherwise, had I could tell the future, I would have probably set that line at 75, 80,000, because I think that's about what we'll end up bringing in. The other line is the professional services line for fire. That is the med account. So med account does another layer of collection for us. We've brought in almost $850,000 this year. That's 150 more than I originally had budgeted, because their collection has been more, their run volume is up. They keep a percentage. We charge that expense to that professional line. So those two lines look like they've spent more money, but we've gotten it in on the revenue side. So those two I don't really even consider in this as a negative, because we've got it in revenue.
that was my question.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I was getting at, so out of this, say, 300,000 in overtime, some of them runs were out of the city or wherever,
Mm-hmm.
so does that money get took back towards this overtime?
So
You know what I'm saying? So is the
So,
overtime now it's
yeah,
bad because there
so-
was actually money coming to cover that run?
Yep, so we've brought in more revenue. Yes, you're correct. But the fire department, outside of the income tax that is earmarked to them, we advance money, which is that transfer list, every month out of the general fund to help offset, their operations and salary. So all the money we get in from the townships, all but a small portion goes into the general fund to help offset those transfer lines. So is it enough to make it even? No.
No, I know it's not gonna make it even, but just like a $400 run.
Does
Yeah.
that 400 go towards the overtime? You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't get receipted that way, no. So,
But
but,
theoretically, bringing revenue in.
but more revenue that we can bring in from the work they do helps offset the hit the
But we
general
don't
fund
really
takes.
see that revenue.
You don't see it, no, and that part of it is hard to, when you see it on paper like this, yes, it gets a little skewed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a really good question.
Mr. Corbett?
When you bring, potential fire and paramedics in, and we have to pay for the training, do you require any kind of time commitment from them that they have to stay so many years before, otherwise they have to pay back some
Yep.
of that?
If it, specifically for paramedic school, because paramedic school is so expensive, yes.
What is that time limit? How long do they have to stay?
I want to say 3.
Yeah.
That sounds right, 3 years.
And then I think there's a percentage
Yeah.
after that,
It's kind of prorated.
prorated, there you go. Yeah.
Very good.
Do we have any other questions in these regards for Ms. Sprague?
No further questions, motion suspended call.
Well, hold on,
Sprague,
I'm not
like
done
to
yet.
continue?
Oh, sorry.
I just wanna clarify a few more
Sure.
things. I know you were too easy. I was all ready for this. I got all my notes, so now you gotta hear me out.
Continue.
So streets overtime, that's all been snow driven. You know, we were doing so good and now the overtime and the salt has just,
We're having to reorder salt again. already.
Yeah.
We've used
Yeah.
as much salt this year.
I know
Much
the
as
roads
we-
are nice and white.
Already, we've used as much salt this year.
They
as
look
we
really
used
good white.
All of last winter,
Yeah.
so.
We're
um,
gonna get rain and wash it away.
Yeah, that'll be going here come Thursday.
but the other, the 585 and the 590 and the 591, funds, those are really driven by that AFSCME contract. When we settle with them, we settle in August. So those salary adjustments, I would not have had budgeted because we didn't know what we were gonna settle for. There were some retirements that we did not know about, so that always throws some extra in there. Then you go down is the fire pension, which is driven from the overtime, and then the healthcare premium. At the end of last year, we had some plan changes, and not knowing how people were gonna choose is driven that along with people making plan changes, so. I know 900,000 seems like a lot, it is, but when you break it down and look at the general fund, that's really, special funds are self-funded. The general fund wasn't horribly bad. So,
What does this do to our budget going?
I took a look, we're right now, with the November that Carrie had sent out, our general fund balance is about 550 to the positive of what we started the year with. So, my goal always when I was at the school, even when I came here, was to never get into a negative cash spending where you're ending the year with less money than you started with. So, we still have another payroll to get through, so we'll see how that goes, but our income taxes stayed up about between 3% and 4%. The expenses are still up, like Ryan said, salt. We're sustaining, and I think trying to be good stewards of our tax dollars and get things done for people, and still keep a healthy general fund balance is just extremely challenging, but I try. We all try.
So is this gonna happen to us again next year, so when we do the
What's
budget,
that?
this you're talking $1 million here, so
Well, I
next year when
mean,
we do our budget, is this something we really better be considered what's coming back as at the end?
you can do, when I look at this, there's things in here I cannot predict. That healthcare, there's a third of it right there. I cannot predict. Fire overtime, probably should up that to 400,000 until we get these 3 people in and get these other guys back. They're starting to come back from their school. The other stuff, retirements, some of this stuff is really hard to predict. I always get a little leery just because I don't want to get in the mindset, well, the money was budgeted, it's okay to spend it. And this kind of like keeps it on my radar. I know Ryan pays close attention to it. The division heads pay close attention to it. So I think to come to you with a supplemental, even if it's a lot, it doesn't mean that we don't have the money to pay for it. It just means I didn't predict these things at the beginning of the year. And so now, as the year progressed, I'm coming back to you. And
My
I
point
think
exactly though, if you do this year after year after year, you're gonna run out of money.
if we start negative
do-
spending out of the general fund, but these other funds, like water and sewer, have the money in them. I mean, their ending balances are healthy.
End of the year supplementals aren't that uncommon. I mean, I think for the size of what she's talking about, they are, but it's not uncommon.
I know they're not common,
Yeah.
but when you're
Yeah.
talking 300,000 overtime, you're throwing in on top of stuff, you know, I mean, that's.
That one is very concerning. I
Yes,
completely
very.
agree with you,
Yeah.
but do we just up the overtime line, so then I'm not doing a supplemental?
Our goal
And we're
is
not
we
paying
should have enough
attention.
people where it should start going down.
Correct.
That's,
Correct. I mean, I
You
think,
can't keep hiring people and going
no,
higher up in your
That's the
overtime.
whole point, though, that's all the discussions we've been having for the last how many months, as to how we're gonna get under control, so I don't think it's fair to say we're just gonna run it all over again next year, because this is something we're actively pursuing and keeping tabs on.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to jump the gun and start saying we're gonna start negative spending by next year or 2 years from now, until we see how it all pans out.
So, yeah, you're right, but that's a big jump, $1 million bucks.
And healthcare, I mean,
Yeah.
you just can't tell from one year to the next what healthcare.
no, and we had the lowest increase in the consortium. We were at 9%. We made every employee participate in the wellness, which our renewal would have been 10%. That bought us 1%. I mean, and we're gonna continue that. But when I came on here, the healthcare contribution was
Animal.
back with the fees. I mean, it was archaic. I mean, it was so outdated of what everybody else around, and again, we have to be conscious of what the taxpayers are, you know, what's going on with them, and they're seeing increases, and everybody's been very cooperative, but it's a process, and we've made a ton of changes in the small amount of time I've been here. But they know, I mean, it's a continuous change. It's a $4 million bill. It's
Everybody
huge.
has it.
Yes.
Everyone has it, you know.
Yes, it's how to manage it.
Yeah.
So, I think that's all I have. That's probably enough. But, you know, you guys are welcome to come in at any time and ask about any of this stuff. And there's all kinds of reports, and we can dig and dig whenever you want, you know. It doesn't just have to be once a year, so.
Tim, just to clarify, when you said for our ending balance for 550 over.
When I looked at Carrie's,
is that
I just looked at the general
550?
fund,
Is that 550?
550,000, yeah. I just looked at the general fund.
$550. Shoestring.
Oh, sorry.
Just barely made it.
Sorry. But, you know, we do have that other payroll fund, so. But we do have, I mean, she still has revenue, we still have revenue coming in, so. You know, if we had a meeting the last week of December, it would be pretty accurate. We don't have to go there.
Any other questions for Ms. Sprague, or what does council wish?
Motion.
Right, there is a motion to suspend and call. Do we get a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast. Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
Mrs. Scritch.
Yes.
Mr. Mast.
Yes.
And Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
Motion to adopt. Mr. Engel, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Mast. Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
Mrs. Scritch.
Yes.
Mr. Mast.
Yes.
Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
Mr. Engel.
Yes.
All right. With that, this ordinance is adopted. And just when you thought you were in the clear, Ms. Sprague.
This will be easy now.
You think?
That one.
Fourth ordinance is a first reading, an ordinance authorizing monthly transfers of funds for the city of Defiance, Ohio for the year ending December 31st, 2025. Ms. Spray.
These are the same amounts you've approved throughout the year. I only had to take out two funds, which were police and fire, transfers from the general fund, but all the other amounts are the same monthly transfers we've done every month.
Mr. Waxler.
No further question, no spending bill.
We have a motion to suspend and call. We have a second, Mr. Corbin. Mr. Waxler.
Yes.
Mrs. Crutch.
Yes.
Mr. Mast.
Yes.
Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
Mr. Engel.
Yes.
And Mr. Hancock.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt. And we have a second, Mr. Mast. Mrs. Crutch. Mr. Mast.
Yes.
Mr. Corbett.
Yes.
Mr. Engel.
Yes.
Mr. Hancock.
Yes.
And Mr. Waxler. All right. With that, this last ordinance for the year of 2025. With the items of legislation addressed, are there any citizens' concerns? Yes, sure. Did any member of council come with a citizen's concern? All right. Well, before we adjourn for the evening, we do have two executive sessions, but we can stand and walk it off for just a moment before we enter the first of two executive sessions.